Decades ago, the US's top diplomat Henry Kissinger reportedly asked, "Who do I call if I want to call Europe?" Many years later, the answer to the question of who actually leads what is now the European Union might be less complicated than it once was, but it is still by no means simple. The EU's split leadership structure contributes to all sorts of awkward and confusing moments. Who should collect the award when the EU is given the Nobel Peace Prize, as happened in 2012? Who gets the only chair and who is relegated to the sofa at high-level meetings like in Turkey in 2021? And when global events, like the October the 7th attack, need a rapid response, who gets to speak? Last week, Manfred Weber, the leader of the Conservative European People's Party, called for the roles of the European Council President and the European Commission President to be merged into one European presidency, to give Europe a single, more powerful voice on the world stage. So in this video, we're going to explain the EU's confusing structure, the pros and cons of a European presidency, and whether it could actually happen. If you love staying informed and want some of the best reporting on YouTube, then subscribe and ring the bell for more. The EU is made up of 7 institutions, 9 bodies, and over 30 decentralised agencies. But for our sake, and yours, we're not going to go into all of these. The 2 most relevant institutions to this video are the European Commission, which is the main executive body proposing and enforcing legislation, managing the EU's budget and negotiating international agreements, and the European Council, which is the body of leaders of the 27 EU member states, sort of like a collective head of state for the EU, which does not propose or pass laws, but does set the EU's general political direction and priorities, and is basically the EU's top-level crisis manager. Both of these institutions have a president, with the 2 roles having evolved across the years. Currently, the European Commission President is Ursula von der Leyen, and the European Council President is Antonio Costa. Over the years, these roles, and how they're filled, have evolved. Historically, the President of the Commission was a pretty weak role, but the 1997 Treaty of Amsterdam formalised its political function, and the 2001 Nice Treaty further strengthened the Commission presidency in relation to the College of Commissioners, shifting it further towards presidentialism and away from collegiality. Over time, the European Parliament has played an increasingly important role in the appointment of the Commission President, with it voting to approve or reject the nominee put forward by the European Council. In 2014, the Spitzencandidate process was introduced, linking the Commission presidency to the outcome of European Parliament elections with the goal of increasing democratic legitimacy. Essentially, each pan-European political party puts forward a lead candidate for the Commission presidency, and then, in theory, the lead candidate of the largest party post-election becomes the Commission president. So, that's the Commission President. As for the President of the European Council, this role only really came into existence in 2009, as a result of the Treaty of Lisbon, which established it to bring more continuity and coherence to the European Council's work. The Council President is elected by national leaders on the European Council itself, with the position elected for a 2.5-year term, renewable once. Over the years, the European Commission President has evolved into the more visible and perhaps important of the 2 roles, particularly as the Commission has become increasingly presidentialised under von der Leyen, so she's probably who most people imagine when asked who they think leads Europe. However, the division of power and responsibility between the Commission and Council presidents still leaves a lot of room for confusion as to who speaks for Europe on the world stage, because the EU treaties establish that the EU's common foreign and security policy comes under the purview of the European Council, with the Council President ensuring the external representation of the Union on foreign and security policy. The issue is, it's not always easy to clearly differentiate between foreign and security policy and everything else. In fact, they often intersect. Think of things like the increasingly geopolitical and securitized areas of trade, aid, and industrial strategy. On top of this, international summits are going to cover a whole range of topics, which is why you end up with both the Commission President and Council President attending things like the G7. The dual roles can work fine when everyone gets along, but when cooperation gives way to competition, it can actively undermine the EU's strategic coherence and influence. For example, the relationship, or more accurately rivalry, between Commission President von der Leyen and then Council President Charles Michel was notoriously bad, with Michel accused of snubbing and working round von der Leyen, and von der Leyen accused of overstepping her remit with foreign policy ventures, particularly relating to Israel. So it's against this long backdrop that EPP chief Manfred Weber is proposing that the Commission and Council presidencies are merged, saying that the current fragmented division of power in the EU is not up to the task at a time of geopolitical uncertainty, adding that we are blocked, we are speechless, we are voiceless, we have no say on the global stage, and that has to be stopped. He's actually far from the first person to argue for this change, and advocates of this so-called double-hatted presidency say it could be established without having to revise the EU's treaties. All that would need to be done would be for the same person to be appointed to both roles. That would mean, in practice, the national leaders in the European Council would have to agree to appoint to the Council presidency whoever emerges Commission President after the next European Parliament election. Based on what we've gone through in this video, the benefits are probably obvious. It would enable the EU to speak with a more united voice on the world stage, and could improve operational efficiency and strategic collaboration between institutions. Questions of blame and accountability would be easier to answer with a single president, and it would ultimately make the EU easier to understand. However, the chances of it happening anytime soon are slim, as opposition to merging the presidencies has existed for as long as the idea itself has. For starters, national leaders in the European Council, who would need to agree to the change, see it as further centralisation of the EU in the Commission, at the expense of the European Council, which is the primary voice for member states in the EU. Additionally, given that the role of the Commission President has been filled by someone from the Conservative EPP for the past 2 decades, you might, depending on your political leaning, be concerned at the thought of consolidating more authority in that one person. Ultimately, this will form just part of a wider European debate in the coming months and years about the EU's direction, with Weber also calling for the scrapping of unanimity voting on foreign and security policy issues, and the likes of Mario Draghi recently calling for the EU to embrace federation. Now, this is a big story, and amongst every other big story happening right now, you might feel powerless in the current climate. The problems feel massive, and individual actions can feel meaningless. But what if we told you that you could be part of something bigger? Something that actually turns concern into action? Well, that's where our friends at Planet Wild come in. Planet Wild isn't just your usual environmental organisation. It's a passionate community built around a clear focus, protecting and conserving the world we all live in. We're more aware than ever that the world is a scary place, and the state of our planet needs change. So, every single month, the Planet Wild community funds a mission to protect endangered animals, restore our forests, and clean our oceans. They document all these missions in videos here on YouTube, so we can see exactly what we've helped to achieve. The impact we've made will be right before our eyes. From cleaning up Mumbai's plastic river to protecting Europe's last ancient forest, and even saving elephants with the help of bees, Planet Wild will stop at nothing to make the world a better place for every living being on it. So, where do you and I come in? Well, by becoming a member, we're directly funding a brand new nature mission from the comfort of our own home. We support, they execute. If you want to join the growing community making a real difference, Planet Wild is the place to be. Big or small, your difference matters, and you can contribute as little as $6 a month to help protect nature. We're big fans of Planet Wild, so much so that the first 100 people to use code NEWSEU2 will get their first month paid for by us. Just scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description. By joining today, you'll immediately make a difference and even be able to see your impact in less than 30 days on YouTube right here. You can cancel your membership at any time, so there's absolutely no catch, just an easy and remarkable way to create real and lasting change. If you want to see them in action, check out their mission at cleaning up Mumbai's plastic river.